Hi, and welcome to the world of PHsPeed. My name is Rosie, and in this series of videos, I will introduce PHsPeed version 2.0. In this video, I will show you how you can generate several types of grid applications. Starting with a simple reporting grid, I will also show you the new features like implementing groups and totals, refined search, and nested grids. Like a CRUD application, creating a grid application works similarly. Start the application wizard, select to create a grid application, select the table and generate. Then click on the big green play button to generate, and run the code. If you need columns to be sortable or searchable, you can change the field properties. If you want to make more changes to all the fields, you can use the new bulk editor. This new editor allows you to apply your changes even faster. Another nice way of selecting data is to use a refined search. You will find many examples in web shops where you can subselect the type of product you might want to buy. By selecting a field for refined search, PHsPeed will create a search panel with a pre-select value. In this example, I will make a refined search on the year of birth. As the field is a date, I need to convert its format to a year. It is allowed to define more refined search fields. Users can select what they want and then click on the search icon to apply all the criteria. In the following sample, I will show you how you can add groups and totals. To be able to, I'll create a new grid that displays the salaries of the employees. As not many people will recognize the employee numbers, I will start by adding a lookup field showing the person's name. To add a new field to the grid is easy and binding it to a lookup field is straightforward. Add a field and make it of type DB field. Next, apply the connection, table name, and data source. Finally, map the original key value to the lookup table, and you're done. If you need to use more fields from the same selection, then allocate the field with the lookup slave property set to true. This will prevent a new query on the lookup table. The final step is to define the master detail relationship. To do so, I select the detail dataset, apply the master by setting the lookup data source, and do the mapping between the master key and the detail key. Then I can generate and run the code again. It is also very easy to change the sequence of the grid fields. It is just a matter of drag and drop. In the following sample, I will apply totals of the salary per employee. This is also a straightforward process. Open the grid fields and select the salary field. Apply the sum function. Then set the group by to employee number, so that all the salary records of the employee are sorted together. That is required because you will not be able to calculate the correct totals. Then generate and run the application. Now the total is shown, but we haven't added a column for the title yet. Like the sample earlier in this video, adding a field to the grid is very simple. In this case, you can use the predefined field for functions. Once you have added this one, you can generate and rerun your application. There are more options you can set on this grid. For instance, you can improve the group's visibility to let the grid do a grouping as well. Besides this grouping, you can also define the group as collapsible. I'll show you in the following samples. Creating master detail relationships can be made on different application types. In the following sample, I will show you two variants: a simple master detail, based upon two grids that are below each other, and a nested grid, where the details are in a drop-down. To set up a simple master detail grid, I will follow the same steps as shown before. I start by generating a grid application of the detail dataset. It is possible to start with the master, but then you have to reorder the grids. Next, I go to the wizard again, but instead of entering a module name, I enter the application's name I want this grid to append upon. Now we have an application with two grids. The final step is to define the master detail relationship. To do so, I select the detail dataset, apply the master by setting the lookup data source, and do the mapping between the master key and the detail key. Then I can generate and run the code again. As the grid occupies a lot of space here, I set the class to small. This will condense the grid a bit. While building the master detail application, I want to introduce the difference of this approach to the one I will show next, the nested grid. The nested grid is also a master detail relationship, but the detail grid will open on demand on each record, which means that you have virtually as many detail grids as you have rows on the form. For that reason, you cannot use the simple approach you see here, but you need to create a separate module that replicates many times on your form. In PHsPeed you can create reusable modules that are called building blocks. You can use them to create master detail relationships, generic search forms, or standard headers and footers. Here I will make a simple grid that will display the detail data. Because this is a module, you can replicate it many times in an application. Next, I use the application wizard to create a standard grid of the employees table. To apply the module, I will add a separate line to insert the building block integrator, one of the many available components in PHsPeed. This integrator is bound to the building block, and the setup for the master detail relationship is similar to the sample I showed before. So to set up the master detail relationship, I use the building block integrator to connect the data source of the building block and the master data source. The key fields property holds the relationship. However, there is a bit more to do. I need to let the grid know that I want to create a nested grid. Therefore, I define the data detail building block to bind the grid. And to have the grid at the expand button with an icon, I set the data detail view to true and apply the data detail icon. When you run the application, then you will see that the grid is working well. But you can still see the building block. Personally, I find that convenient, as it allows me to verify if I have set up things correctly. To hide the building block, I set the visibility property to false. PHsPeed generates the applications fast. It allows you to make some changes, regenerate, and then evaluate your changes. And repeat that over and over again. That way, you can see your results fast, making the IDE an ideal prototyping tool. Together with your client, you can set up a basic working application that you finalize at your office. In this video, I have not written a single line of code. In other videos, I will show you how you can interfere with the standard behavior and how you implement your own business rules by writing some code. Thank you for watching.